Off-season speculation has arrived, and the latest speculation or conversation: should the Minnesota Vikings consider trading Justin Jefferson, superstar wide receiver and one of the best wide receivers in the NFL? Longtime Minnesota columnist Charlie Walters, in his latest Pioneer Press article, has shared that there is a better chance of Jefferson getting traded than anybody's saying. He wrote, "That's because it doesn't make any sense to pay the NFL's best receiver the money he wants on a team that's not expected to be seriously competitive for several more years." And I want to break down Charlie's point here, especially when he says it doesn't make sense to pay the superstar wide receiver the money he wants. And I want to ask him why. Why doesn't it make sense to pay superstar wide receiver Justin Jefferson the money that he wants? Okay, you could look around at the playoff teams. The 49ers have a very good all-star wide receiver, Debo. The Lions have a very good all-star, Amon St. Brown. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a borderline superstar wide receiver, Mike Evans. But other than that, Chiefs don't have one, Bills don't have one, Packers don't have one. There's lots of teams that don't have superstar wide receivers and are very, very successful. But here's why the Vikings should sign Justin Jefferson. And the reason is the Vikings are about to have a quarterback on a rookie deal. The Chiefs would struggle to sign Justin Jefferson to a long-term superstar contract because Patrick Mahomes makes the most money in the NFL. Joe Burrow is one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. Josh Allen, one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. These teams can afford to pay a quarterback the highest paid money and a receiver the highest paid money because they need to spread that money around the entire roster, like corners and linebackers and offensive linemen and other wide receivers. So the Minnesota Vikings, the reason why they can afford, they have the luxury to sign JJ because they're about to draft a quarterback this offseason. And what better situation than to put a rookie quarterback into the game with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson as his superstar wideout tree? That's perfect. You couldn't ask for a better situation for a rookie quarterback to come in and succeed. And if he doesn't succeed, it will be glaringly obvious because he's throwing to the best core in the NFL. So either way, you're going to have your answer right there in front of you when you bring in that rookie quarterback and you get him in your system for a year or two. Now, the question that becomes after you sign JJ is the more interesting one. Because what happens with Darisaw or Danielle Hunter, or better yet, Kirk Cousins? Because the Vikings will not be able to afford to bring every single one of those guys back once they sign JJ to a deal that makes him the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. Kirk, 36 years old, off a torn Achilles, when the Vikings have a top 11 pick in the NFL draft? Is he the guy that you want to bring back? Danielle Hunter, one of the best defensive ends in the NFL. Christian Darrisaw, one of the top 3 left tackles in the league. The Vikings have corners that need to be filled, safeties that need to be filled. And there's no way that cutting Harrison Smith, cutting Garrett Bradbury is going to free enough room to sign Kirk, Darrisaw, and Danielle with Justin Jefferson, and then you got to fill out the rest of your roster where there's lots of holes. Now, I get the idea of trading JJ. Bring in a bunch of first-round picks. Draft a quarterback high. Draft a cornerback. Fill out the other needs and holes in your roster. But here's the problem with that. Just because you have a first-round pick doesn't mean that they're going to succeed. trading Stephon Diggs for a draft pick worked out great because then the Vikings drafted Justin Jefferson. Trading Randy Moss for a draft pick couldn't have gone any worse. They drafted Troy Williamson and a linebacker that was and traded for a linebacker that was a nobody. That trade was one of the all-time busts in the NFL. The Vikings traded a wide receiver who eventually had the most touchdowns in a single season with the New England Patriots for a bunch of trash bags. They drafted a terrible player. They received a terrible player. That trade was awful. They traded Percy Harvin. They eventually, I don't even remember who they got for that trade. But because I don't remember who they even got for that trade, doesn't that kind of say something about it? So just because you trade JJ to fill other holes on your roster doesn't necessarily mean that those holes on your roster are going to be filled correctly. They might be filled with all-time first-round busts. Now, here's why you bring JJ back. You bring in a rookie quarterback. You fill in other holes on that roster with the money you're going to give Kirk Cousins. Now, the question is this. Would you rather have Justin Jefferson, Danielle Hunter, and Christian Darrisaw, a rookie quarterback, and a corner with the money you're going to give Kirk Cousins, or better offensive linemen, or a safety to replace Harrison Smith? Or would you rather have Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins and a bunch of players that you're filling the needs of with corners and safeties and stuff like that? I would rather have the first choice. It might be time to say bye-bye Kirky. And I know there's a quarterback that has been linked to the Minnesota Vikings this offseason, Mr. Unlimited. Now, I don't like Mr. Unlimited. Neither does the Minnesota Vikings fan base. And if the Vikings bring him in, they are going to receive a lot of criticism from the fan base. People are going to hate it. But it might make sense to bring in a veteran quarterback on a cheap one-year deal than to bring it back Kirk Cousins, 36 years old, off a torn Achilles, because it allows that rookie quarterback to develop. It allows that rookie quarterback to step in for Mr. Unlimited, Russell Wilson, when it's time for that rookie quarterback to step in. You don't have to worry about benching Kirk Cousins. You don't have to worry about filling other needs on your roster because you have the money to spend it. You're not spending it on a 36-year-old guy coming off a torn Achilles. So bringing JJ back, that's easy. You got to do it. You pay the best players on your team. Every single NFL franchise does it. Patrick Mahomes, best player on the team. They got rid of Tyreek Hill so they could fill the needs of players around them. And once that rookie quarterback, if he's a really superstar quarterback, if he's really that good after year 3 or year 4, then you sign him to a mega deal. And that's when you consider trading Justin Jefferson. When you have a quarterback that's good enough that doesn't need a superstar wide receiver as one of his wideouts anymore. He can get to the big game with good wide receivers. That's my take. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Minnesota Tim Podcast. I appreciate you listening on YouTube, watching on YouTube, listening on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you are listening to this podcast. Everyone, please subscribe, rate, review, wherever you are watching or listening to this show. Everyone, take care and have a great day.